Yeah, I like all this.
Speed.
How do you call?
Colorful stuff like that?
No, like hippie or
Oh, yeah,
very,
yeah.
you know,
Hippie.
yeah, like this.
From Miami?
I'm from Colombia, actually.
Okay. You live in Miami.
Living here in
Okay.
14 years, so
Oh, wow. Okay.
it's not easy to learn English here in Miami
No.
at all.
It's almost impossible, yes.
Yes. So the interview, just let me know when you're ready.
Identify yourself.
Mónica Mendoza. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. It's
After
good to
2
talk to you.
years, the interview is going to be around the hero and the person behind the hero.
Oh, okay, great.
So I'm following you in Twitter, and you say that was very.
So this is going to be a
Exactly.
quality interview. Like it's
Of
going to be
course,
depth.
I like it. Essence, you know.
Okay, yes.
You say that was very draining. Job was a very exhausting, and you have a lot of makeup hours
Yeah.
and a lot of physical work. How hard was to do this movie?
It was hard, Monica. It was really, really. It was a difficult movie, but also too, you want to put it in context. You know, it's still. I always want to. I want to say how challenging the movie was because I was away from my family for 6 months. I trained and prepped for an additional 8 months before that. It was 3 hours in hair and makeup every day. We were just sitting there, and you're just sitting there, but it's very boring. And then that, in essence, becomes draining. But then you got to get on set, and every scene basically is a scene where something is either coming after me, or I have to go chase something, or I have to kill something, and I'm dealing with the tragedy of killing my family, or so I think. I killed my family in the movie. So there's a lot of weightiness around every day for 6 months. But I also want to say, put it in context, the hardest part was just being away from home. Because putting in the proper context, it's still a movie, and it's still Hollywood. And there's still lights and camera and makeup. And then afterwards, you go to a hotel room. You have room service. You know what I mean? It was difficult. The hardest part was just being away from home.
Hercules is a story about finding who you want to be, forgiveness, and destiny. How close is your story with this story?
Amazing parallels to this, which is why I held this role so closely to my heart. When I first got into Hollywood 14 years ago, the first movie I asked about was Hercules, and who's doing Hercules? Because I grew up loving Hercules, and at that time, there were a couple of Hercules in development, but I always had an affinity and a connection to Hercules. So I was, the idea about we become whole and we find our strength and our power when we accept our faith, like ultimately Hercules does. He accepts his faith as a son of Zeus, and that's when he gets his power. Became very powerful for me because for so long, for a lot of times when I was growing up, I was challenged a lot in terms of my faith and in terms of I didn't quite understand why bad things were happening, and I questioned a lot of things. So things started to turn around when I accepted my faith.
Where your strengths come from then?
My mom. Yeah. I
That's
think
your
rock. Yeah.
That's your rock.
Well, yes, because I think when we're younger, and when you're younger and you're having a hard time and you're growing up and things are very challenging and you're still you're living paycheck to paycheck and trying to pay the rent. And my mom was always the one who was like the strength of the family and still trying to make it work and still trying to hustle and still trying to make a dollar and still trying to pay the rent, keep the lights on, keep the phone on, try and keep us from not getting evicted. And then eventually we got evicted. But my mom, she was always
She challenged you to pursue your dreams.
Oh, yeah, always, always. My mom was the one who would always encourage me, dream big. She always used to say when I was younger, she was like, hey, one day the world's going to hear from you. And I was like, oh, okay, cool.
So
Thanks,
she
Mom.
keeps you on the
Grounded?
ground also?
Always, always, yes.
Don't let Hollywood to influence on you.
She was always like that, yes, yes, and she still is today. But see, I think just growing up, I was able to I think growing up, then I was able, because I didn't come from a typical Hollywood family. My parents weren't actors or studio
Yeah.
executives. So when I got into Hollywood, I think for me, fortunately, the more successful I was able to become in this interesting way, it just reminded me of how important it was to make sure that I just remained grounded and kept family around, which is why I don't live in LA. I live here in Miami. I live in Florida. So there's little things you could do along the way, you know?
When all the lights are off and people are gone, what would you like to do? When the silence is everything that you have around you.
Wait, say that again? That's a great question. I want to make sure I understand it.
Okay.
Yes.
When the lights are off
Yeah.
and the people are gone,
Yeah.
what you like to do? When the silence is everything, what you have around.
Wow, that's great. It's kind of crazy, but just being able to go outside and being able to go do something, even like that, appeals to me because it's just the way it is these days, where I just can't go out. You know what I mean? So I would
Yes.
love that. And so anytime I could find peace and quiet, and it's generally just at my house, like doing simple things, like simple core things, I'm happy. Having family around, getting into family arguments.
What a woman needs to have to be your partner.
Wow, these are good questions, Monica. It's very good.
Okay, I decided a picture just because
It's
of
very good. It's very good. I love this question, yes. I love this question because I finally learned it, you know, even through, I was married once, then I got divorced, and been through a lot in terms of relationships. So what does a woman have to have? A sense of self and a strong sense of what we need to do and what we need to become as partners, and not be afraid to stand up and say, hey, you're messing this up. Let's talk about this.
Yes.
And you may think you want to lead, but here, let me lead you. Like that's happened. It's happened. And now today I can appreciate that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
This is great. Yeah, I
Thank
appreciate
you.
that.